country of plenty, where evil and poverty shall be done away with, country of brotherhood, where all success shall be founded on service, and honor shall be given to the deserving, country of peace, where government shall rest on the will of the people and the love for the common good. Bless the efforts of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality. Inspire and strengthen our people that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen. Yes, Honorable Majority Leader.
Speaker, I rise to seek your leave to call for the alteration of the business as set out on today's order paper in order for us to deal with the item listed as number 4. Presentation of papers to have the report of the appointment committee on His Excellency the President's nomination of Mr. Martin Alamisi Benz Kaiser Amidu for appointment as Special Prosecutor to be late now.
Yes, Honorable Majority Leader. Minority Leadership, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, rightly, it was on the business statement that it will be late today and taken today, so we are ready. We have no objection to that.
Well, Honorable Majority Leader, business of the day is hereby, leave is hereby granted for the order to be varied. Item number 4, presentation of papers by the Chairman of the Committee.
Report of the appointments.
Yes.
Speaker, as you do know, vice chairs and even committee members could lay any document on behalf of the committee. You are the chairman of the appointment committee. Unfortunately, from where you are sitting today, you cannot lay the document on behalf of the committee. So any member, and indeed the deputy majority leader is the vice chair. So if you may invite her to do that on behalf of the committee.
Honorable Vice Chair of the Appointments Committee, kindly lay the committee's report on behalf of the committee.
Report of the Appointments Committee on His Excellency the President's nomination of Mr. Martin Alamisi Benz Kaiser Amidu for appointment as Special Prosecutor.
The report is duly laid and is for distribution to members. Members, we shall return to item number 2, correction of votes and proceedings. We have the proceedings for Friday, 16 February 2018. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Yes, Honorable Majority.
Speaker, we are considering the votes and proceedings of Friday, the 16th of February, 2018. and we are at page 6. Mr. Speaker, I believe it's instructive to observe that on that day, 202 members were in the chamber. Very instructive. I thank you very much.
Yes, Honorable Minority Chief.
This is one area we've always been arguing, because he will remember that that day there was a quorum that was raised. And how we record who and who are in the House has always been something that has been a major challenge for us. But as at the time that some of the decisions were taken, a quorum was raised, and it was ignored. So he should not use the vote and procedure now to try to correct what has been done.
Honorable Minority Chief Whip, I was not in the House at the time you were saying a quorum was raised. If we were to determine who was present in the House, what would be our basis?
Mr. Speaker, it came to a point that we even wanted a head count. That was denied. And I'm saying that, Mr. Speaker, if you remember, in this House, there have been times that all we do to record proceedings in the House is going to the newsroom. And a speaker ruled that by signing the newsroom, it doesn't mean you are present. It takes those who are in the chamber. So it became the rule. So for me, over 8 years, I haven't gone to the newsroom to sign anything. But my name is always because they sit there and try to identify who are in the chamber. And the Speaker, as at the time we were taking decisions, we raised the quorum, it was ignored. We called for head count, it was ignored. We were 66 in this chamber.
Very well. I think that causes, well, Leader, let me hear you.
Mr. Speaker, I think the issue that I raised is rather innocuous. I'm just saying that on that day, there were 202 members here. And Mr. Speaker, for the records, nobody raised issue about head count in this House. Nobody.
On Friday.
On Friday, nobody. We should be factual here.
In the chamber. And the following day, they should point them out. So we exclude them from the list. Otherwise, we continue to have these controversies when people go and sign their name at the newsroom and don't come to the chamber. So I urge the whips in particular to assist us so that those who are not here are truly not here, not be marked as being present, but when there is an issue as to quorum or members present, it becomes controversial. We'll continue with page 7. Page 8. Yes, Honourable Member for
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, we are talking about those who sign and for one or other reason not counted in the chamber. I also was in the chamber last Friday. I was here, took part in proceedings. But because I attended a program outside Parliament and came a bit late, I did not sign. My name is being marked absent. But I came here. I attended a program for committee meeting. I came back to the chamber and I've been marked absent. So as we are looking at those who sign, and we should also look at those who come into the chamber, take part in our activities in the chamber but did not sign. Thank you very much.
Very well, the table office will take note and correct the record. Page 9.
No, page 7, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Member.
I was in the chamber, but I am recorded as absent with permission.
Very well, the table office will take note and make the correction.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Page 10.
Well, Honourable Speaker, I can see the red light blinking there, and it probably may signify something that we need to take note of.
Very well. The Commissioner should investigate and advise the House as urgently as possible. Page 9. Honourable members, order. Yes, Honourable Member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I was present. I was absent with permission on Friday, but I've been marked absent on page 8.
Honourable Member, hold on. Please, there's too much noise in the room. I can't hear the member on the floor. Please, can you resume your seat? Honourable Member from Mampong. Yes, well, can I hear you?
Mr. Speaker, I was absent with permission on Friday, but at page 8, I've been marked absent. Thank you.
Kindly guide us. What's your name and which number on which page?
Number 17 on page 8.
On page 8?
Page 8.
You have been marked absent?
Absent, but I was
you were
absent
present?
with permission.
Absent with permission?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. The record will be checked and the appropriate corrections made. Honourable members, subject to the corrections, the votes of Friday, 16 February is hereby adopted as a true record of proceedings. Communication from the President. 16th February 2018. Right Honourable Speaker, Office of Parliament, Parliament House, Accra. The Speaker, absent from Ghana. In accordance with Article 59 of the Constitution, I write to inform you that I will be travelling outside the country in the evening of 18 February 2018 to Lomé, Togo, to lead the mediation efforts aimed at resolving the ongoing political crisis in that country. I returned to Ghana on 19 February 2018. During my absence, the Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, shall, in accordance with Article 68 of the Constitution, act in my stead. Yours sincerely, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic. Yes, Honourable Member for Etiwa East.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I was here on Friday, but I've been marked absent.
Where were you? We have already adopted the proceedings.
Oh.
Kindly liaise with the table office to make the appropriate correction.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Honourable Majority Leader. Yes. Honourable members, as we recall, I directed the Marshal to investigate the flicking of the fire alarm. The report is that it was a power trip that has affected the alarm and its flashing. There's no threat of fire to the house. Thank you. Yes, Honourable Majority Leader.
Speaker, we thought that we could deal with item listed as number 5. That is the motion, that is how stands the President, the adoption of the report. That is motion listed as item number 7. My understanding is that the Speaker hasn't finished his consultation with the delegation that came to visit him this morning. And so we are not able to leave the seat. So I don't know whether you permit the Vice Chair to move the motion. If you are so minded,
If Mr. Speaker is not here and work must go on, I wouldn't mind at all. But we have to start from motion number 5.
Very well. Very well.
Very well, honourable members. Item number 5, motion. Honourable Vice Chair, will you move motion number 5 first?
Mr. Speaker,
motion number 6.
Motion number 6.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move that, notwithstanding the provisions of the Standing Order 81, which requires that no motion shall be debated until at least 48 hours have elapsed between the date on which notice of the motion is given and the date on which the motion is moved. The motion for the adoption of the report of the Appointments Committee on His Excellency the President's nomination of Mr. Martin Alamisi Burns Kaiser Amidu for appointment as Special Prosecutor may be moved today. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Are you seconding the motion? Are you seconding the motion? Then you kindly resume your seat. When it is seconded, that is when something will be before the House to be discussed. Yes, Honourable.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
The motion has been moved and seconded. It's for the consideration of the House. Yes, Honourable Member for Bolga East.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I rise on a point of order. And I'm referring to Order 93, Sub-Order 1 of the Standing Orders of Parliament. And Mr. Speaker, with your permission, may I read the Standing Order? It says, reference shall not be made to any matter on which judicial decision is pending in such a way as
Honourable members, order. Let's listen to the objection.
Mr. Speaker, may I take the order again? It says, reference shall not be made to any matter on which judicial decision is pending in such a way as may, in the opinion of Mr. Speaker, prejudice the interests of parties to the action. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I am inviting your good self to make a determination humbly on this matter in respect of the matter which is pending before the Supreme Court on the qualification on the qualification or eligibility of the nominee who is the subject matter of the report. Right Honourable Speaker, on the 12th of February this year, I filed the matter before the Supreme Court in suit number J1/5/2018. And Mr. Speaker, our standing orders require that you make this determination with respect to whether the discussion or debate in this matter will not be prejudicial to the interests of the parties. Mr. Speaker, since this matter touches directly on the qualification or eligibility of the nominee, and in view of the fact that the Supreme Court is seized with jurisdiction properly in this matter, and it is yet to be determined, and Parliament has been given notice. In fact, I caused my counsel to serve Parliament notice of the pendency of the suit. I am humbly requesting Mr. Speaker to make a determination in this matter, because any discussion or debate may raise matters or may make comments that are either adverse to the appointment or that support the appointment. And Mr. Speaker, because this touches on the sub-judice rule, I did some research on the matter, and I want to refer to Mr. Speaker.
Before you go on, before you continue, what is the matter before the House now? The motion that was moved, what is it about? How will the discussion of this motion affect anybody?
Mr. Speaker, the motion that has been moved is for the approval by this House of the nomination and appointment.
You are not paying attention. Can you check motion number 6? Motion number 6. Yes, the majority leader. Mr. Speaker, this intervention with respect to my colleague is totally out of tune with our processes. Mr. Speaker, the motion before us is procedural. It's procedural. So he's totally out of order. Honourable members, Mr. Speaker, Order 91 provides for where to interrupt any debate on the floor. That's why I'm saying that his own intervention is completely out of tune with the procedures. Mr. Speaker, so you can rule him out of order. I will go on. Honourable Chamber, did you want to say anything? Very well, honourable members, the purported objection is out of order. Before us is a motion asking for Parliament to abridge the time period within which we may debate the report. It is after that if you wish to raise any objection, you will get to that. This motion is out of order. Honourable members, we are still at the stage of Order 81. All in favour of the motion say aye. Aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. The motion is carried. Item 11 of Majority Leader. Yes, Honourable, before you move the motion, can you let me acknowledge a delegation from the Parliament of Uganda. 1 week visit to Parliament by an 8-member delegation of the Appointments Committee from the Parliament of Uganda. Honourable members, I have the pleasure to introduce to you an 8-member delegation of the Appointments Committee from the Parliament of Uganda who are on a one-week study visit to Ghana. They are here, among others, to benchmark best practices in the functioning of the Appointments Committee and in the discharge of its duties in the vetting and approval process of the presidential nominations for appointments. The visit is also intended to create a platform for promoting networking between members and our Ugandan counterparts with the aim of deepening relations between the two countries. The delegation comprises the following: Honorable Alum Santa Arang, leader of the delegation. Honorable Sorungu Joseph Gozanga. Honorable Yeri Ofuono Apollo. Honorable Abewa Helen. Honorable Rawabushaja Margaret. Mr. Bribunwa Pius Perry, Director Legal. Ms. Jeria Beatrice Gladys, Administrative Assistant. Ms. Kamayangi Glorious, Clerk, Assistant Secretary to the delegation. We wish them a fruitful visit to Ghana. Honorable Majority Leader. Honorable members, at this stage, Mr. Speaker will take the chair. Honorable members, item number 7, Chairman of the Committee. Honorable First Deputy Speaker, Chairman of the Committee, is taking his seat. Honorable First Deputy Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Item 7. Yes, Honorable Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, with respect, I can note that you are taking over from the First Deputy Speaker. When motion number 6 was moved, the Honorable Ayane sought to invoke Order 93 to elucidate your ruling on this matter. Now, once you move to motion number 7, I would wish that you accommodate him. We are now on motion number 7. He is inviting the First Deputy Speaker as chair. This is the appropriate time for him to raise the objection. It's appropriate. And Mr. Speaker, it's for him to accommodate him and take a decision on that matter.
Honorable Chairman of the Committee, the first Honorable Chairman of the Committee, First Deputy Speaker, please move the motion. Honorable First Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The motion
Mr. Speaker,
motion number 7.
I rise to move motion number 7 on the other paper, that this House adopts the report of the Appointments Committee on His Excellency the President's nomination for Mr. Martin Alamisi Benz Kaiser Amidu for appointment of Special Prosecutor. That Chairman, in so doing, I present the committee's report. Mr. Speaker, in accordance with Section 13(3) of the Office of Special Prosecutor Act 2017 at 959, His Excellency the President nominated the nominee for appointment to the House. And Mr. Speaker, you accordingly referred the nomination to the Appointments Committee. Mr. Speaker, the committee met and considered deliberated upon the appointment, the nomination. In so doing, Mr. Speaker, the committee referred to the 1992 Constitution, the Standing Orders of Parliament, the Office of Special Prosecutors Act 2017, and the CV of the nominee.
Honorable, please continue.
Honorable Business Speaker, the committee received reports from the Ghana Revenue Authority on the tax status of the nominee. We received confidential reports on the nominee from the state institutions and the police service. After that, Mr. Speaker, a public hearing was held on Tuesday, the 13th of February, 2018. Mr. Speaker, the committee has duly considered the nominee and reports as follows. Honorable Martin Amidu, the nominee, was called to the bar in Ghana in 1978. He had practiced at various levels at the bar until he became the Attorney General between 2011 and 2012. The nominee was Vice Presidential candidate of the NDC. Mr. Speaker, the nominee was asked questions on several topics on the appointment to a position that is lower than the Attorney General position he had previously held, on his presidential ambitions, on his critique of the act itself.
Honorable, do you have any difficulty?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise on a point of order, and I make reference to Order 93, Sub-Order 1 of the Standing Orders of this House. Mr. Speaker, it provides that, and I read, reference shall not be made to any matter on which judicial decision is pending in such a way as may, in the opinion of Mr. Speaker, prejudice the interests of the parties to the action. Mr. Speaker, I'm drawing the House's attention to a suit that is pending before the Supreme Court, in suit number J1/5/2008, titled Dr. Dominic Akunting Ayine versus the Attorney General and Martin Alamisi Amidu. Mr. Speaker, I'm inviting you to make a determination today with respect to whether and the extent to which the discussion of the report of the committee will be prejudicial to the matter which is pending before the court. Mr. Speaker, any comments, whether adverse or commendatory, that are made in this matter may send the wrong signal to the Supreme Court with respect to this matter. And Mr. Speaker, I want to refer you to a ruling that was delivered by your colleague, the Speaker of the House of Parliament of New Zealand.
Honorable, I'll be glad if you refer to a Ghanaian ruling. Honorable members, listen. I will be glad. Since these matters have arisen before this honorable court this honorable house before, to refer to a Ghanaian ruling as a precedent, and then after that, go to a foreign one as persuasive. Honorable,
thank you, Honorable Speaker. Right, Honorable Speaker.
Order.
Right, Honorable Speaker.
That is the practice in all the courts of competent jurisdiction in the Republic of Ghana. You start with the Ghanaian authority, and then you go to any foreign one by way of persuasion. Please proceed.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for that guidance, and you are right on point with respect to the position of the law. There was a ruling in this House by the Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable Duajahu. Mr. Speaker, that ruling was to the effect that a matter that was pending before the High Court regarding the First Bank issue that was brought before this House was said that we could not discuss the matter. I asked the table office for a copy of the ruling, and I have not been supplied with one. However, there is a statutory basis. Mr. Speaker, the statutory basis is our standing orders. And I just wanted to elucidate by citing the New Zealand the New Zealand position as persuasive authority to Mr. Speaker. And then also, I will move on to Eskin May, which is like our Bible in this House on parliamentary procedure. If Mr. Speaker prefers that I go with... Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Eskin May has this to say on the matter. At page 441, the majority Honorable Majority Leader, I'll give you a full, Honorable Majority Leader, I'll give you a full opportunity to reply. I'll feel better if you let him just conclude. Honorable. Right, Honorable Speaker, thank you.
Me on both the local and the federal.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Eskin May at page 441 of the 24th edition of his book, that is published by LexisNexis, says as follows. Following a recommendation of the Joint Committee on Parliamentary Privileges, the current resolution governing matters sub judice was passed on 15th November 2011 as follows. And Mr. Speaker, I don't want to read the entire paragraphs, but it says that subject to the decision of the chair and to the right of the House to legislate on matters or to discuss any delegated legislation. The House in all its proceedings, including proceedings of committees of the House, shall apply for the following rules on matters sub judice. And then it says in paragraph B, subparagraph Roman I, civil proceedings are active when arrangements for a hearing, such as setting down a case for trial, have been made until the proceedings are ended by judgment or determination. So once Mr. Speaker has determined that the matter is sub judice and that our discussion and debate of the matter may have a prejudicial effect on the pending court action, then the matter cannot be determined by this House. And the reason is simple. Mr. Speaker, the report that is about to be laid touches on, to be debated, touches on and concerns the eligibility or qualification of the nominee that was communicated to this House by Mr. Speaker, and that by Mr. President. And that nominee is the subject matter of the report to be laid. It is a party to the suit. And so, Mr. Speaker, I am urging you to rule the report to be debated, Mr. Speaker, the report to be debated, not to be laid. So I'm inviting Mr. Speaker to make a determination as to whether the discussion or debate of the report will adversely impact upon the matters that are pending in court. And Mr. Speaker, I want to move to the ruling of your colleague, the New Zealand Speaker of Parliament. And with your permission, Mr. Speaker. Oh my God. Sorry.
Honorable,
Mr. Speaker,
as counsel, you know that when you want to make any serious reference to a ruling or judgment of a court of competent jurisdiction in court, you bring the relevant authority physically before the ruling. Where is the authority? Bring a law report and read to me, and I will look at it myself. I'm not going to read from your tablets. Do you have the relevant law report? You know that is the process in court. Read it to me, and I will take it from you. I will cross-check, and then I will rule.
Mr. Speaker, the said ruling is on the website of the Parliament of the New Zealand, and the Speaker's rulings.
Honorable, when you get to the Supreme Court, you won't talk about websites. You know what we do there.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I was of the view that will serve as persuasive authority. And I can furnish the table office with hard copies of the ruling afterwards. So if Mr. Speaker will indulge me, let me make a reference to the electronic copy, and then subsequently I will supply Mr. Speaker and the tables through the table office.
You persuade me now, or you forget about that authority. Any other submission?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Continue.
Mr. Speaker, I want to conclude by saying that given the architecture and design of separation of powers under our Constitution, Parliament, the Executive, and the Judiciary are co-equal branches of government. The courts respect the privileges and immunities of members of Parliament. In the same way, Parliament should not be seen to be undermining the work of the courts by engaging in debate and discussion that may prejudice the rights of parties to a matter that is pending before the court. I so submit, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Majority Leader.
Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, first of all, before you came in, an application to the same effect had been made by the Honorable former Deputy Attorney General, which application was rubbished. Mr. Speaker, the application was rejected.
Honorable Majority Leader, draw that and make progress.
Mr. Speaker, all done. Mr. Speaker,
All done.
Mr. Speaker, the application,
Honorable Majority.
Mr. Speaker,
Honorable members, if you stop shouting, I will make a ruling.
Mr. Speaker, respectfully,
I hope we are not trying to rule for me.
Mr. Speaker, respectfully,
withdraw
the word rubbished and substitute rejected. The application was rejected by the House. Mr. Speaker, he comes with another application.
Honorable Majority Leader, you may take your seat for now.
Mr. Speaker, I have withdrawn it.
Order. The word rubbish has been duly withdrawn by the Honorable Majority Leader. Honorable Majority Leader, proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I've already withdrawn the words rubbished and substituted rejected. Mr. Speaker, the same application has been made again. And I'm calling for you to rule that application completely out of order. Mr. Speaker, our orders provide in Order 81.
Teach them.
Mr. Speaker, Order 81 provides, unless otherwise provided in these orders, every motion, unless made at the second reading or consideration stage of a bill, must be seconded. And if it's not seconded, shall not be debated or entered into the votes and proceedings. Mr. Speaker, if an application has not been moved and seconded, what it means is that there's nothing before this House.
Yes.
And if there's nothing before this House, you cannot come with an application to withdraw it. That is why I'm saying to my honorable colleague that he's completely out of order. Mr. Speaker, I will not listen to the asides. He's completely out of order and must apply himself to the rules of this House. He must apply himself to the rules of this House.
It hasn't been seconded.
Mr. Speaker, the motion has not even been moved. The person is in the process of moving the motion. It must be seconded. Mr. Speaker, it must be seconded. Once it's seconded, you can come in with your application. But if the motion has not been moved, the person is in the process, you submit an application to Mr. Speaker, arrest it. It is completely out of tune with our processes. It's completely out of tune with our processes. In any event, Mr. Speaker, in any event, since he cites examples, Mr. Speaker, since he cites examples, and yes, it's incompetent motion. Mr. Speaker, it is incompetent motion. But for the records, Mr. Speaker, since he has related to a precedent, let me walk him through the precedents of this House. Mr. Speaker, in considering the prior approval of the Honorable Mohammed Mouini in this House, the matter was before court. At the time, the immediate past Speaker was the chairman of the appointment committee. The matter was submitted before the appointment committee And we ruled then at the appointment committee that the matter could continue. Mr. Speaker, in the matter of the STS debate in this House, after the motion had been moved, the then Right Honourable Speaker, Madam Justice Manford Addo, the matter had come from the Supreme Court to her, and she did not accept it. She said, in her opinion, Parliament could go on, and Parliament indeed went on. Mr. Speaker, in the matter of CI 73, the matter had gone to the Supreme Court for adjudication. The Honourable Matthew drew attention to this in the House. The then presiding officer, Madam Manford Addo, said the matter could not obstruct Parliament from doing what she deemed was right. Mr. Speaker, in any event, even in the current application, the submission to the court is that even if Parliament went ahead to approve it, and in the wisdom of the Supreme Court, they felt that the matter was not right, and they ruled whatever Parliament did would then be considered as null and void. It's part of the application. It's part of the application. So why this? The Speaker, I submit that this application is a complete abuse of the processes of this House. Anytime anybody feels aggrieved and a matter is before the House, that person then will rush to the Supreme Court and tie the hands of this House from considering that point. The Speaker, that cannot be right. The Speaker, our orders provide in the order that he himself quoted, Order 93, reference shall not be made to any matter on which judicial decision is pending in such a way as may, in the opinion of the Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's your opinion that counts. It's your opinion. When we come there, at the appropriate time, it's your opinion that may count. And I'm saying that at this stage, the application that has been submitted to you, Mr. Speaker, is a very incompetent application that cannot be entertained now. Mr. Speaker, I'm asking you to clear it out for lack of merit. I thank you very much.
Minority leader, speak. All done. Please, let the gesticulations stop. All honorable members, will the gesticulations please stop? They don't have healthy parliamentary debates. I don't want to mention names. These gesticulations create bad blood. And honorable members must learn that parliamentary debate is also a matter of mannerism. Honorable Minority Leader, please speak.
Mr. Speaker, let me thank you for the opportunity and to paraphrase the majority leader. First of all, Mr. Speaker, this House is governed by rules, governed by the standing orders. Order 93, as he himself was interested in contributing to what he describes as incompetent. I have difficulty with it. And Mr. Speaker, he uses the words with such a way as may. Maybe, Mr. Speaker, let me read it full. reference shall not be made to any matter on which judicial decision is pending in such a way as may, in the opinion of Mr. Speaker, not in the opinion of the majority leader or the leader of government business. So he's completely out of order. Not in his opinion. Mr. Speaker, the majority leader is not the chair. Neither does he preside. All that the Honorable Dr. Ayeni sought to do, Mr. Speaker, is to elucidate your opinion. Your opinion, you may be guided by precedent. But, Mr. Speaker, it doesn't lie in the bosom of the majority leader, and you should know that. Mr. Speaker, further to 93.2, further to order 93.2, Mr. Speaker, he does to it again. It further states, it shall be out of order to use offensive, abusive, insulting. Now, Mr. Speaker, you rightly ruled, and he withdrew with some hurry. But he's the leader of the House. He should not be insulting and he should not be abusive. The Honorable Ayeni took objection to it. He should not operate that way. Honorable, you don't have to. You don't keep the harmony of the House. Mr. Speaker, finally, Mr. Speaker, today we are being told that there is nothing before us because the motion has not been seconded. Mr. Speaker, if you've been beaten by a snake and you see a worm, you run. If you've been beaten by a snake and you see a worm, you run. 2 days ago in this House, when we rose, before a motion was moved, under Order 130 to arrest for second reading, I was told that I was late in coming. The Honorable Ayeni doesn't want to be late in coming, and Order 93. He was beaten by a snake. So, Mr. Speaker, when you see a worm, be careful. So this worm of the interjection by the majority leader, and Mr. Speaker, I'm enjoying the finesse of the debate. We should leave the decision and judgment to Mr. Speaker. That is how it should be, not the majority leader. But Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Ayeni is within the rules. He has invited you to elucidate your opinion on a matter which is true, is pending before the judicial authority. Mr. Speaker, he does so within the doctrine of separation of powers that the 1992 Constitution is premised on. And Mr. Speaker, you are right in telling the Honorable Ayeni that reference to international ruling can only be persuasive. Mr. Speaker, in 2-4 versus Attorney General, there is a guy. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. I'm well instructed in 2-4 versus Attorney General. Apart from the persuasiveness of an authority, which of course is acceptable, but which must yield to authorities binding from whom, it is important to realize that when you want to put a case and you know the procedure for so doing by way of producing your authority at the appropriate time, then please prepare at home before you come to court or before you come to Parliament, so that you can really produce your authority in the manner that will be required by the Supreme Court. And this is a duty that any serious lawyer will tell you should be done. So please, this reference, any reference in the court of competent jurisdiction, like we all learned, must be produced And all members of the court of this honorable house must learn it. And when you are called upon, produce it. It's very, very important for the progress of this work in this house. If you look at this, secondly, any careful listener will see that Eskim may refer to the word may. And the may is applied in the totality of circumstances. Now, we may be guided by such evidence or rule or precedent, but we must be guided advisably. In this particular case, it is notable that the circumstances of the case, the nature of the case in quo, the relief being sought, the stage that proceedings have reached, or all such other relevant matters were not brought before this honorable house. The separation of powers requires that all three organs must be given their due regard. If the mere filing of a writ in any court should stop Parliament from doing its work, then of course Parliament is subjugated automatically to the courts. There must be mutual respect between all arms of government, the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. There is nothing before me this morning to persuade me that the matter allegedly before the court, or any matter regarding sin, or any order made by the court alleged today is such that Parliament cannot do its work. Furthermore, procedurally, we should go by the procedures of this honorable house. A motion must be moved and seconded before it is before this honorable house. Let us get it very clear. A motion must be moved or done. We must learn to learn. In a minute. A motion to be competently before this honorable house must be moved and seconded. Thereafter, a member may object to anything or make any reference to any demand when moved and seconded. Otherwise, if you anticipate wrongly, this is misconceived, it is premature, it is incompetent procedurally. The motion is accordingly rejected. Honorable, what's the second on my second side? First Deputy Speaker, continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I was referring to the matters that were discussed at the committee. We have talked about the nominee's background, his response to questions, critique of the Special Prosecutors Act, whether or not he has applied to join the New Patriotic Party, whether he can live in harmony with others, what his views were on plea bargaining, mutual legal assistance, whether or not he will take advice from the Attorney General. Mr. Speaker, I want to put on record that none of the issues discussed at the Appointment Committee and covered by this report touches on any matter which, as I have seen, is pending a judicial determination. And so, in my view, Mr. Speaker, Article 93(2) does not rise at all. Mr. Speaker, the committee concluded Mr. Speaker, before that, I'll seek your leave to amend page 18 of the report. Mr. Speaker, this amendment is with the consent of the Honourable Member for Tamale North, Honourable Alhaji Sihuni Said. The Speaker would notice that on the last page under 6.0 conclusions, paragraph 3, the last but one line, the report said that accordingly the committee recommended by an overwhelming majority. The Speaker, I seek leave to remove an overwhelming majority decision and replace that with consensus, and the House to approve the nominee. So, Mr. Speaker, with the permission, I delete an overwhelming majority decision and substitute all those with consensus. Mr. Speaker, to that extent, the last paragraph is also deleted. So, the final conclusion of the report is that the nominee be approved by consensus. And, Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Thank you very much. Who seconds the motion? Yes. Honourable Deputy Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. The Speaker, I rise to second the motion on the nomination of His Excellencies Martin Alamasi Benz Kaiser Amidou, which has just been moved by the chairman of the committee. And Mr. Speaker, in doing so, I would want to make some reference to what transpired at the committee and what has been captured in the report. Mr. Speaker, the nominee was able to give the committee a background information about himself, where he was born, where he went to school, and he actually revealed that he was enrolled as a lawyer in 1976 and graduated from the University of Ghana in 1973. He holds a master's degree from the United States, which he got it or studied conflict resolution, and that was obtained in 2001. Mr. Speaker, members of the committee asked a number of questions. They wanted to know from the honourable nominee, in the first place, why he accepted the president's nominee. And Mr. Speaker, his nomination, the nominee had this to say, Mr. Speaker, and I'm quoting from page 3 of the report. He said he accepted because he wants the good people of Ghana to benefit from the rich resources of this country by blocking all leakages and slippages of the proceeds of the resources of the nation. And Mr. Speaker, for many of us at the committee level, we thought that was a man that lived above politicking and was actually thinking of the interest of Ghana, and for that matter, he accepted the president's call to help him to fight the menace of corruption which is destroying our country. Mr. Speaker, he went on. Another member asked him about him having been an attorney general in the past and whether his acceptance of this nomination, of this position as the special prosecutor was rather a lower position. And he had this to say. He said that because of his passion, and Mr. Speaker, this is captured on page 4 of the report, because of his, he accepted the offer because of the passion he had for the fight against corruption, which he done through his public life. Mr. Speaker, we all know the honorable nominee and his passion and desire and to fight corruption, and that has actually culminated in him being termed a citizen vigilante in the corridors of our politicking. And I think that that ought to be commended by this Honorable House. Mr. Speaker, I asked the Honorable nominee how he was going to proceed in the prosecution of procurement offences as captured in Section 3A of the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act 2017, Act 959. Mr. Speaker, he confirmed that he is open to working with other public institutions who have a similar vision of fighting corruption, and for that matter, he was going to collaborate with the Public Procurement Authority as well as the Office of the Minister for Public Procurement, IOCO, and other institutions such as STRAJ in order to have a comprehensive docket or investigation procedure before he proceeds in prosecuting. And I think that that is something that was very key for some of us on the committee, where there won't be any conflict arising in terms of who is prosecuting what. And he clarified it, and many of us were satisfied with his clarification. Mr. Speaker, questions were asked about the plea bargaining, which was captured under Section 71 of the Act. Also, the issue about whether there were inherent weaknesses in the Office of the Attorney General. And again, I remember the minority leader specifically asking him about his opinion, which he has expressed earlier on the bill that was before Parliament, which has now been passed as law. And he stated, and he raised very constitutional issues, which we interrogated at the committee level. And he gave us the assurance that he is prepared to work with the law that has been passed by Parliament. And if in the future there is the need for there to be any amendments, he would actually communicate same to the Attorney General for this House to consider such amendments. Mr. Speaker, I believe that just as been said by the chairman of the committee, at the committee level, we were all amazed by the high standard of competence, the composure of the nominee, his brevity in answering questions on corruption, and his preparedness, his solid principles, which he was not prepared to let go any moment from now, but to continue saying, which was the fight against corruption. He also talked about his independent-mindedness and the fact that he will live above political coloration and deal with issues of corruption as it is. Because if we don't do so and allow the politicking to go on, this would be detrimental to the development of our country. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I thank you for the opportunity and I second the motion. I thank you.
Honourable members, I will call 4 from each side, 5 minutes each, and leaders will have 10 minutes. 4 from each side, 5 minutes, leaders will have 10 minutes. Honourable minority.
Mr. Speaker, no fundamental issue, but to indulge you that it's an important milestone we are taking. Your 5 minutes, I find it too restrictive. If you can be open 8-7 minutes, but 5 minutes, Mr. Speaker, if you can reconsider that.
Thank you very much.
It's an application I'm making.
I'm very much aware of the importance, and I believe that the number will elicit every importance. Honourable Muntaka, you may start. 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to speak to the motion before us for the approval of His Excellency the President nominee of Mr. Martin Amidu as a special prosecutor. Mr. Speaker, the committee did interrogate the nominee, and Mr. Speaker, let me say there was no doubt about his capability in terms of qualification and in terms of experience to be able to deal with the new office that has been created. Except to say, Mr. Speaker, during the interrogation, it was clear that he was someone who could be very temperamental. He was somebody that could be aggressive. But Mr. Speaker, this is a subjective thing. So in my view, nobody can say that because in my view, he seemed to be very reactive or erratic and temperamental, he cannot do the work. Mr. Speaker, in a question that was put to him about his long essays that he wrote about the bill, Mr. Speaker, he said that he believed that you could not throw the baby with the bath water. Mr. Speaker, what he failed to tell us was whether some of the issues that he thought should find expression in the Act or should be taken out of the Act was unconstitutional or otherwise, he did not answer to that. And Mr. Speaker, when it came to questions about his numerous writing about calling others names, state looters, people who are stealing, and what have you, Mr. Matamidu said it was more about perception and also intelligence. When he was pushed further, he acknowledged that even intelligence that took America to Iraq was found not to be, they couldn't find what they did. So intelligence is not necessarily evidence. And Mr. Speaker, I think this is very instructive. It is our hope that as he assumes the office as special prosecutor, he will not let perception and intelligence lead him into a witch hunt, but rather he will deal, as he himself promised, with whatever case that comes before him based on evidence and based on facts and not based on perception and intelligence. Mr. Speaker, in an answer to a question about how he intends to set up the office, how he intends, he said it is his hope that he will get the opportunity to set up a structure that will enable that office to prevent corruption from happening. All of us, I think there's no doubt about our worry of the canker of corruption in our country. But Mr. Speaker, he failed to realize that the special prosecutor doesn't employ the people because our constitution doesn't give him the power to engage who he wants to work with and who he will not want to work with. He failed to acknowledge that those persons will be appointed using the Constitution and, for that matter, using the powers of Mr. President to be able to do that. It is our hope that when the office is set up, he will not be run away from the fact that he will have to learn to work with others, not necessarily he picking and choosing them. I think this is very, very important that it is my hope that Mr. Matamidu will take into consideration as he assumes the office. But Mr. Speaker, one important answer that he did answer that for me was a little worried has to do with when he was the Interior Minister and has prepared dockets or presented persons to be prosecuted, and when he goes to the Attorney General's office, he was asked why we didn't pursue the prosecution. And he said that he was told that by the state prosecutor that his deputy Attorney General, and then he mentioned the name and said that he has taken the docket. And he was told that it was instruction from above. And he was asked, so if you go and sit now that we're working under the Attorney General and the deputies and so many others, what are you going to do?
Honorable,
he said that he has learned from that. It is our hope that he's not going to sit and allow persons from above to instruct and to keep quiet. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, let me say that I have no doubt while his demeanor may have portrayed him as citizen vigilante on a mission, his composure showed isolated instances of intemperance, overreaction, and inability to control himself. But I have no doubt that he will be able to perform the functions of the office. I thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Esler.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As a member of a committee, I was impressed with the demeanor and the passion and forthrightness with which the nominee answered questions put to him, despite the length of time that the Appointments Committee took to vet the nominee. And some of the answers he gave were very instructive and endeared him to the Ghanaian people as somebody who would not countenance any form of corruption whatsoever and would do whatever it took to ensure that we eradicate or at least minimize that canker which is so damaging the body politic from our society. Mr. Speaker, despite the nominee's admission that he had some concerns about the law appointing, setting up his office, he was prepared, he was more minded of his duty to assist us all in the fight against corruption and not focus on the minor issues that agitated his attention in the consideration of the bill and in its passage into law. And so he repeatedly answered when confronted with that issue that he was prepared not to throw out the baby with the bathwater, and that he would focus on the essential, which was to assist the president in his determination to fight corruption in this country. And to my mind, that was exceedingly commendable. Mr. Speaker, his answer to a question as to what he would indicate what would be a measure of his success as special prosecutor was him stating that his success shouldn't be measured in terms of the number of people that he imprisoned, but by the integrity that he brought to the office and by prosecuting or undertaking his work without fear, favor, malice, ill will, and that he wanted to create an institution that would work to fight corruption and put in place mechanisms which would deter people who would otherwise have engaged in those corrupt acts. He was not interested in self-aggrandizement, but in what he could contribute to our efforts to eradicate corruption, particularly being minded of the President's insistence that we cannot continue to do business as usual, but we have to do something different and something positive and move this country in the direction where corruption would be a high-risk, low-profit undertaking, instead of being an undertaking in which people merely get slapped on the wrist and continue with actions which militated against the forward march of this country. In his response to a question on plea bargaining, Mr. President, and as I conclude, he explained that these provisions offered an avenue for accused persons to make reparations to the people of Ghana for the consideration of the special prosecutor and the courts. In his view, it would be better if the nation retrieved the monies which had wrongfully found its way into others' pockets than to send people to jail, and assured the committee that if approved, his office would act professionally and reasonably in dealing with offers for reparation. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, I will urge all those who have butterflies in their tummies about the appointment of Mr. Martin Amidu, including some who may have enjoyed double salaries as MPs and ministers, to take advantage of this provision and take steps to make reparation as indicated in the Act.
Thank you,
Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Ibrahim. Honorable Ibrahim. I have a list.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity given to me to contribute on the motion. Mr. Speaker, just as I support the motion for the approval of the nominee to the office of the Special Prosecutor, Mr. Speaker, I have 3 key areas from the report to be made. And one of them, the first to start with, is on page 16. That's paragraph 42. Public Accounts Committee's recommendation, and with your permission, I read. As to how he intends to work with the recommendation of Public Accounts Committee, the nominee indicated that if approved, the office will put in place structures and mechanisms to prosecute offenses using the recommendations of the Public Accounts Committee as the basis. He stated that based on the Public Accounts Committee recommendation, the office will initiate corruption investigations and prepare dockets for the cases that will be identified. The recommendations will also form a basis for the calling of credible witnesses to give evidence to the prosecution. Mr. Speaker, if you go through our Constitution, and to be precise, Article 187+6 is categorically clear. And it says that Parliament shall debate the report of the Auditor General and appoint, where necessary, the public interest in the public interest, a committee to deal with any matters arising from it. Mr. Speaker, this is the constitutional position on the report and recommendations of the Auditor General. Mr. Speaker, Parliament or this House should not wait for the Special Prosecutor to come and initiate structures. The Constitution is clear. And I believe that any time, even currently, if you take the other paper, there are Public Accounts Committee's debates hanging because of the absence of this committee that has not been formed. Some reports have been referred to the Public Accounts Committee to reconsider and bring their reports. Mr. Speaker, we must take Article 187+6 seriously. And in the interest of the public, Parliament must form a committee to be responsible for all public Auditor General reports that will be debated in this House by the Public Accounts Committee. This is what will make the public have interest in Parliament, have interest in the Public Accounts Committee, and have interest in the Auditor General report. That is just that. Mr. Speaker, the second point. The Special Prosecutor nominee is saying that he will use the Auditor General report that will be debated in Parliament as the basis. Mr. Speaker, if you go to Article 21+1F in the Constitution, it is clear that this House or Ghana must pass the Right Information Bill. Mr. Speaker, fighting corruption is a shared responsibility. It is not within the presence of only one personality. And everybody, no matter which side you belong to, we must all contribute. But Mr. Speaker, what if you don't have the information? What if you have no right to the information? Mr. Speaker, much as we want to fight corruption, we must take urgent steps to pass the Right to Information Bill into law. And that will create the access for you, for the media, for everybody, so that corruption will not just be based on perception. Somebody raised corruption allegation, and when pushed to the corner, then he responds, it was a perception. I believe, Mr. Speaker, the best remedy to do away with perception and come to the realities, whereby if allegation is made against somebody, you can use the Right to Information law to press and get the right information. And that will do away with the perception, and Ghana will be seen to be really fighting against the incident of corruption. And finally, Mr. Speaker, I have read the committee's report very well, and I've taken special interest in the recommendation that were given to the nominee. The committee observed that giving Mr. Martin Alamisi Ben Kaiser Amidu's high standard of competence, forthrightness in answering questions, independent-mindedness, selflessness, solid principles. Mr. Speaker, this is one of the ministers who, that was described as Team B. Mr. Speaker, I'm saying that we have more of Martin Amidus within this side. And if they want these deputies, they should come to the NDC. We'll supply you.
Thank you very much.
We have the men. Now you are talking for the men from the thing that you will stand as Team B. Mr. Speaker, we have more of them. And if even there's a shortage, we still have the 87 left to supply to them. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity.
Honorable Obu Amwai.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the motion that this House adopts the report of the Appointments Committee on His Excellency the President's nomination of Mr. Martin Amidu for the appointment as Special Prosecutor. Mr. Speaker, in doing so, I will start by continuing from where Honorable Ahmed left off. Indeed, the committee in its conclusion stated that we are persuaded that a candidate has the requisite integrity, competence, courage, determination, sense of purpose, independence of character, and a mind suitable for the position, and accordingly recommends that this House should approve the nominee. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, as I continue, we must first commend the President, Honorable Danko Akufo-Addo, for this bold step. In this House, we have agreed that the Public Accounts Committee should be chaired by a member from the minority. And even when we go to subsidiary legislation, the chairman of the committee is from the minority side. The President believes that if he picks somebody in the mode of Honorable Martin Amidu, it will be a big step in fighting corruption in this country. And we must applaud the President for this very courageous, bold step. It's unprecedented in this country. Mr. Speaker, the nominee was emphatic that every person was entitled to fair trial under Article 19 of the Constitution. And he says that as a special prosecutor, he maintained that he will not engage himself in persecution, but prosecution of crimes under this Act, and that every person is innocent of a crime until proven guilty. This is a very good posture. We hear around that he's been brought in to pursue a certain agenda. He's put it on oath that he's there as special prosecutor not to persecute people, but prosecute under the law, and everybody will be offered fair trial as enshrined in our Constitution. And I think we must commend him for this very important statement that he's made. Mr. Speaker, the nominee under paragraph 20 said that indeed he was not going to fill in some prisons with persons simply because they are being prosecuted. He believes that the provision under the Act, Section 71 of Act 959, should also aid him in doing his work, in the sense that if persons admit their guilt, if persons are ready to enter into plea bargain, if persons are ready to return what they have looted, in conclusion, the state will benefit. So we should also look at that route. Mr. Speaker, I'll speak for only 3 minutes.
In conclusion, I'm watching the watch closely.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The nominee also emphasized that when it comes to tracing the route, money stands away abroad in certain accounts. He is competent enough to lead a team to be able to trace all the money which has been sent abroad and goes through money laundering. I believe that all in all, the nominee really distinguished himself and that is very fit for the position, but he needs the support of all of us. If you look at the public reaction, the public is really interested in ensuring that this man succeeds and that this whole office of Special Prosecutor becomes a very prominent feature in our democracy. And I believe that we should all support him. So, Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, I urge all members to support this motion and to pass the nominee. Thank you very much. As per my list.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I stand to support the motion, and I agree with the committee that we approve the presidential nominee by consensus. Mr. Speaker, we didn't even need the committee to give that public hearing of examining the nominee for 7 good hours for us to know that he was competent and he was so experienced that he is one of those, not the only in Ghana, but he is one of those who best fitted that position. Mr. Speaker, we know his passion against corruption. We know his track record, and we know of his independence of mind. In fact, that is what has made many, including myself, to think that the president might have taken a serious risk. Because in this business, it cannot be fought by one person. You need the collective support of all, including the citizenry. But we all know that corruption is a hydra-headed, cancerous monster. It defies even definition. There is a struggle even to define corruption because it involves almost everything about the world, not just human beings alone. And so the Honorable Martin Alamisi will need, I didn't know his name was Kaiser until the vetting. He will need the support of everybody to be able to succeed, particularly the appointing authority. We need the government to make available the necessary resources and logistics to support his office. I, from the onset, did not see the need for such an office because I believe strongly that if the Attorney General was properly supported, they could have done the same thing. My understanding of the constitutional provision is that it doesn't also debar the president from appointing a minister for justice and also appointing an attorney general. That is my understanding of the Constitution. But Mr. Speaker, be as it may, we have a good candidate to lead that office, to try to anchor the other government agencies, to assist all of us fight the cancer corruption. We can only pray that this time around we'll also get the other things right, because it's not only about prosecution. There's a lot for us to do right out from education. And when I'm talking about education, I'm not talking about only formal, I'm also talking about informal education, where we must get our values and principles right. We must get our ethics and code of conduct right. And traditional and cultural practices must have to be reviewed.
Mr. Speaker, I believe that we, the politicians, should lead. He is just an appointee, and that is why people keep on emphasizing the issue of the political will. Leadership is everything. And so I think that we have to show the way. If we give him that latitude, if we support him, and we all commit ourselves to fighting corruption, not to make it as a political ball game, then this country will be making a headway. Apart from that, even if you bring an angel into the circumstances we have in this country, the angel himself or herself will be found wanting. So, Mr. Speaker, I don't want us to hide the perception that Martin Hamidu has come with the answer to fighting corruption. There is still a lot to be done, and I want to support my colleagues for us to approve this nomination. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Second Deputy Speaker. Honorable Dominic Nitu, Honorable Minister for Defense.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me also add my voice to those who already have called on this House to vote unanimously and support the motion for the approval of Martin Alamisi Benz Kaiser Hamidu as the special prosecutor. Mr. Speaker, sitting through the vetting committee and having the opportunity to ask some 2 or 3 questions, it was very clear to me, as espoused by some of my colleagues here even today, that the nominee is very competent, the nominee is experienced, and the nominee is fit to fight and serve in the office for which he has been nominated. The nominee has been in public service since 1986. In fact, it could be stretched to 1982. And none of us, both on the committee and in Parliament, have raised anything close to an accusation against the nominee in terms of corruption. And Mr. Speaker, to have somebody who has served in public office for more than 30 years, just like the President, and that not a single person or single allegation of corruption against the person is something we should be proud about the nominee. And that the President has picked the right person, and we should all support that person to succeed. Mr. Speaker, just by way of saying something on the lighter side, our people will say that when you are about doing something and it rains off, it's a sign of it's a sign of good luck. It looks to us and to me that the decision we are taking today is a sign that we are doing the right thing and we should continue. From nowhere, it has rained heavily. And I believe that there is a big link. I believe that the gods of the heavens is sending us a message, Mr. Speaker, that what the President and the party seeks to do, the decision by the President to fight corruption, a decision by the President not just to pick anybody, but to be brave and pick somebody who has been a running mate of the opposite side, tells us it is a president who is willing and ready to fight corruption. It's a president who will not run away from fighting what has been the biggest headache of Ghanaians for a long time, corruption. If you ask any Ghanaian today, what is the biggest problem in public service, they'll tell you that it is corruption. I think everybody, both on the right Mr. Speaker, I believe that everybody, both on the right and the left, should be applauding the President and helping Mr. Honorable Martin Amidu to fight corruption, both in public office and in Parliament. Mr. Speaker, we have always complained.
In conclusion, Honorable.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. We have always complained that the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament brings the report to Parliament, and the results and their findings don't find any space in the prosecution cycle of the Republic of Ghana. It is heartwarming that the nominee says that I'll put structures in place to help the Public Accounts Committee seal the loopholes and prosecute people who are indicted in their reports. I think we should support the nominee.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, before we come to the leaders, we have a delegation from our sister country, Burkina Faso, regarding the proposed Ghana-Burkina Railway project. The delegation is led by Honorable Isiaka Sigwe. Others include Mr. Zampu, Mr. To, Ms. Orego, and will be here for a few days and consult with honorable members as well. On your behalf, I welcome them to Parliament and to our country. We wish them a good stay. Thank you. Now, Honorable Minority Leader, 10 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity to contribute to the motion for the approval of the Honorable Martin Alamisi Benz Kaiser as Special Prosecutor for Ghana. Mr. Speaker, indeed, as the President Nana Abudanka appointed in his State of the Nation address, this is uncharted waters, and the Honorable Martin Hamidu needs to work with the Attorney General, the President of the Republic, the Parliament of Ghana, the Auditor General, the Commissioner of Human Rights and Administrative Justice, the Economic and Organized Crime, and more importantly, the Ghana Police Service, to combat corruption and to reduce the menace of corruption in Ghanaian public life. Mr. Speaker, corruption, we are told, accounts for 1.5 trillion of losses globally in terms of transactions involving countries. We are again told by some researchers that the amount of loss relative to corruption is estimated to be more than 10% of development assistance to many countries. Suffice it to add that in Ghana, over $1 billion it is said is lost to the problem of corruption. And as was indicated, it remains a human problem, and we must accept it as such. Mr. Speaker, let it not be said anywhere that this is the first time as a country we are fighting corruption. It cannot be true. The 1966 coup, 1972, 1981, all the military interventions have had 1969, 1979, 1981. All of it, Mr. Speaker, corruption, the plundering of state resources, abuse of state resources accounted for those interventions. And it was instructive to hear from the nominee. It was instructive to hear from the nominee. Mr. Speaker, I am not justifying this. I am saying that in all those instances, corruption was rightly cited as the bane of a problem and a national problem.
Order.
Mr. Speaker, I had the privilege to work with the Honorable Alamisi Amidu as a junior cabinet minister in the Mills Professor John Atamu's cabinet. I know him well, and I know when it comes to matters of law, he can be uncompromising with his convictions on that matter. I also know him well as a very selfless person. Mr. Speaker, when he appeared before our committee, there were isolated incidents of intemperance. When I jokingly said the Brussels way, he took offense. He must know that it is a cultural joke, and it remains a cultural joke. And he must learn, even though he later on indicated to us that he is human and has a compassionate heart, and I've reached out to many persons. Mr. Speaker, it was instructive to hear from the Honorable Martinami that, and I'm paraphrasing him, that crime has no color, crime knows no NDC, and crime knows no MPP, and crime has no political color. That is apt. He comes to the office with will and wit as special prosecutor. But Mr. Speaker, as I said, uncharted waters. The power is vested by virtue of Article 88 in the Attorney General, who is delegating part of her authority and mandate to a special prosecutor. What we expect is what I've highlighted, that there must be partnership. Mr. Speaker, in Ghana, yes, it's real. There is grand corruption, there is petty corruption, there is political corruption. Especially the financing of political parties throughout the world is noted for corruption, and monies cannot be accounted for. The Electoral Commission of Ghana is engaged in some steps to do that. Now, Mr. Speaker, I recall that during the consideration stage of the bill, I filed an amendment to the Special Prosecutor Bill as Idris Haruna. And that amendment was that recommendations of the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament by the Auditor General be listed as part of the functions, the 3 items to be prosecuted by the Special Prosecutor. I lost it as I indicated to you that day. I said some I want to be defeated in honor and in dignity. It only was a reflection of excessive partisanship of the country. Because we all agree that the principle was right.
And in conclusion,
Mr. Speaker, I've done only 5 minutes. You said 10 minutes.
please go.
Mr. Speaker, Parliament has a deliberative role. You must allow us to deliberate the honorable. Minority leader 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You say I should sit down.
By the time you have 2 minutes towards the conclusion, I'm only reminding you.
You are reminding me when I still have half of my time. Mr. Speaker, you are chair of this house.
Honorable minority leader. Honorable minority leader. Honorable minority leader. This is the watch. This conduct must stop. Honorable, you may conclude. Order. I don't have to show you my watch all the time, but I want you to see it now. You may conclude.
Mr. Speaker, in concluding, this is not the first minority leader of this parliament. If this attitude helps parliamentary democracy, let it be. I am unhappy. But because it's an important matter, I will conclude. because I'm watching my time too here. Mr. Speaker, in concluding,
Honorable Minority Leader, you may conclude.
Mr. Speaker, in concluding, the weight of the fight against corruption is weightier than an individual. And therefore, the Honorable Martin Amidu will work with institutions. Mr. Speaker, where I disagree with him fundamentally, he sought to make a difference between articles he wrote as citizen vigilante in pursuit of constitutionality against hurting the reputations of other persons. He said he did so believing that he raised constitutional matters. But Mr. Speaker, when we asked him about his own view that he published about the constitutionality of the bill of special prosecutor, his view was that in his discussion with the president, he saw that the fight against corruption was more important. Let me remind him that that cannot be more important than the constitutional principles and values of this country. Indeed, legislation, including the special prosecutor, derives from the Constitution. We expected him that pursuant to Article 3, he will write. But at least, Mr. Speaker, as the Honorable OB said, he assured us that he will cut both ways. In any case, members of the opposition, we don't do procurement, we don't supervise procurement. Members of the opposition, we don't control state resources. They must look within processes. We don't. Therefore, in this, and to assure the deputy leader, the fight against corruption is an imperative that he looks within. He has to look within, because procurement remains a government function. Control state resources remain a government function.
Ameyan, Chairman, for majority leadership. One word. For majority leadership, Honorable Ameyan, Chairman. 10 minutes.
I'm in my 9th minute, Mr. Speaker. For the record, I'm observing your conduct. Where it is necessary, I'll file your emotion.
Honorable Ameyan, Chairman. 10 minutes for majority leadership.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, with your special leave, the majority leadership will want Honorable Samuel Atachia to debate. With your leave, we want Honorable Samuel Atachia to debate on behalf of the leadership of the majority. Thank you. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for this unique opportunity to contribute to the motion on the floor. Mr. Speaker, let the records reflect that in critiquing the bill, the nominee never said the whole process was unconstitutional. He had some problems with some clauses of the bill, and that is what he critiqued. So it was not a situation in which Honorable Martin Amidu said the whole process was unconstitutional. I wish that this should be on the record. Mr. Speaker, with due respect, my small contribution to this motion is this. I want to assuage the fears of those who believe that this appointment is intended to intimidate
probably chase people into the bush. Far from it. Because the appointer of Martin Hamidou is a great respecter of the rule of law. As a matter of fact, if you look at the political significance of President Akufo-Addo, it came as a result of what he did in the courts. So I've heard a lot of proverbs that have gone out. One of them, I think with your kind permission, I'd like to bring it out because it will summarize what I'm trying to do. Somebody said the New Patriotic Party is holding the tail of a tiger. Another who has also studied account folklore said a tiger does not prove his tigritude by pointing to his spots. But the question is, if you have a special prosecutor, he's not the final arbiter, Mr. Speaker. The special prosecutor will have a matter to investigate. He will build up a docket. And if he has bona fides, as he said when we were trying to vet him, he said he's not going to look for victims. The evidence should speak for itself. But his docket has no significance under a constitutional democracy unless it's put before a court of competent jurisdiction. Before you are even charged, Mr. Speaker, I want us to pay some regard to all the good provisions of Article 19, fair trial. The accused person, even if it's a political person, will be informed in a language that he understands and in detail. And even will be informed of the nature of the charge. That is Article 19, 1D. Article 19, 1E is even very important for us to know. And I want to assuage the fears of those who think that we have a tiger in our midst. An accused person shall be given time and facilities for the preparation of his defense. So what is your fears? It's not going to be a kangaroo arraignment in which you do not know why you are being held before a court of law. An accused person shall be permitted to defend himself before a court in person or by a lawyer of his choice. Mr. Speaker, that is a rule of law. And we know, the record shows, that the thoroughbred President Akufo-Addo has defended several people. And what is very beautiful for our democracy is that the special public prosecutor, like every other policeman who prosecutes before a court of law, will have to prove the guilt of the accused person beyond reasonable doubt. So it's not voodoo or some fanciful hot pot of evidence that will put any political person into jail. As a matter of fact, the standards are so high that even if there is a window of doubt, as presented by the special public prosecutor, that doubt will be resolved in favor of the accused person, and the accused person will get an acquittal. Every lawyer of average intelligence knows that this is how the system works. So no matter, excuse me to say, the venom of a prosecutor, no matter the hatred level of a prosecutor, no matter what you call him, at the end of the day, the final arbiter, the forum where somebody should go to jail or has his freedom, is a court of competent jurisdiction. This is what should relax everybody. That nobody should sit down here and believe that by the fiat of the special prosecutor, somebody will go to jail. In fact, if there is any prosecution which has political dimensions, it will have to pass the test of proof beyond reasonable doubt. Mr. Speaker, what is even beautiful? Even when the court of law has decided that somebody should go to jail, it is not the end of the matter. The decency of our democracy affords people the opportunity to appeal decisions of judges. So the appellate process is also a window of opportunity for anybody who believes that he's been given a shabby treatment to meet 3 judges in the Court of Appeal for the person should have justice if the person feels strongly that has been shortchanged. What is worse, even if the
Supreme Court,
the Court of Appeal should say the decision of the High Court or whatever court below has been affirmed, you have the golden opportunity to go to the Supreme Court.
In conclusion,
Mr. Speaker, we should never forget that the appointer of this man is a thoroughbred Democrat. We should never forget he's a lawyer of huge stature and has decency to respect all the constitutional provisions under Article 19. This is where we have our rest and our sanity as members of Parliament and political appointees. Nobody should be feverish about anybody, because finally it is not the nominee we are about to approve who decide where we sleep. It is the court of competent jurisdiction, men of professional integrity who decide our fate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just rise to thank members for their contribution and for their support. I urge all to vote overwhelmingly for the nominee. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, at the end of the debate, the question is, all those in favour of the motion numbered 7 say aye. Aye. Those against the motion say no. The ayes have it. This Honourable House adopts the report of the Appointments Committee on His Excellency the President's nomination of Mr. Martin Amilu for appointment as Special Prosecutor. Thank you. Motion number 8. Majority Leader, any further progress on this matter?
Mr. Speaker, given what you have done, I've had some consultation with the minority leader, and I believe we may have to take an adjournment, and in the circumstance, we will then have to push the conclusion of the debate from the originally agreed date to rather Friday, to enable as many members as possible to debate, continue from tomorrow. Mr. Speaker, I want to move that this House do adjourn until 10 o'clock tomorrow in the forenoon. I so move.
Honourable Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion for adjournment. And as the leader have indicated, we will have to continue with the debate on the message on the State of the Nation address and conclude on Friday. I beg to second the motion.
The motion for honourable members, the motion for adjournment has been moved and seconded. All those in favour of the motion say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The motion is carried. This Honourable House is adjourned to tomorrow, 10 o'clock, in the forenoon. Thank you very much.